Morning everybody, welcome to today's lesson. We're going to look at the differences today, the grammatical differences really, between copular verbs and regular verbs, because there are a number of differences. There are lots of different ways where you can find out if the verb that you're looking at is a copular verb or a regular verb, because there is a very big difference. So we're going to look at some of the differences first, and using these kind of ideas you can just test a verb to see is it a copular verb or a regular verb. So the most common copular verb that we'll be looking at quite a bit today is the verb to be, and it's such a common verb, it's in almost every English sentence, and so it's well worth knowing about. So that's the most common copular verb, but you get other copular verbs like be, seem, get, feel, and the really confusing thing is that some copular verbs like feel can be regular verbs as well. It depends. In some sentences there'll be copular verbs, and in other sentences there'll be regular verbs. So what do we mean by copular verb? Well, copular means linking together. I think it comes from the Latin. You might know it from other words like copulation, for example, so linking together. And you can see why we call them copular verbs. Have a look at this. Mike is a good lawyer, or he became the CEO. Now notice we've got subject, verb, and then noun phrase, a good lawyer. Subject, verb, and then noun phrase, the CEO. And I want to compare that with regular, subject, regular verb, noun phrase, and subject, regular verb, noun phrase, because when we compare the two we'll see they are very different. Good morning, Lolly. So here, notice firstly that when we say Mike is a good lawyer, we are linking these two together. This is why we call them copular verbs. Yeah, we're linking Mike together with a good lawyer, and we're saying that they are the same. There is an identity between the two. Mike and a good lawyer, they are the same object. Yeah. Exactly the same with he became the CEO. There's only one person in this sentence, and it's he, who is also the CEO. It's Mike, who is also a good lawyer. Yeah? So there's only one person here. But look at this. Mike knows a good lawyer. There's definitely two people here. So we're not linking an idea to a subject. We're just saying that Mike knows an object. And this is precisely why we call this word, a good lawyer, an object of a verb, but this is not an object technically. This is actually called the subject complement, or if you prefer, a predicative complement. Personally, I'm going to say subject complement. I think it's easier and clearer. I took this word predicative complement from this book. Somebody mentioned it a few days ago and asked if I'd read it. Well, I'm about halfway through it. It's a good book. It's rather technical in my opinion. It perhaps overuses terminology in my opinion, but I understand he's just trying to make his ideas as clear as possible, and fair enough. And he does have some very good ideas. We're going to look at some today. I must admit one of these I hadn't noticed before, and it was a very good point. So he has got some good information if you're interested. It's Geoffrey Pullum and Rodney Huddleston, A Student's Introduction to English Grammar. So yeah, there are different people when we use a regular verb, and it's the same person when we use a copular verb. Even if we put a plural pronoun here and say they are the winners, still that's the same group. They and the winners are the same group. If we say they knew the winners, they're two different groups. They are not the winners. So you can see they work very differently. A second difference between these two is that you can use a copular verb and an adjective. It was fun. It was good. He was happy. She was sad. Yeah? You can't do that with any other regular verb. You can only do it with copular verbs. This is why get is a copular verb, because you can say it got hot. Yeah, that's a regular adjective, hot. So get is a copular verb. Sometimes. If you say I got a letter, that's a regular verb. But if you say I got hot, that's a copular verb. So copulars can take adjectives. Regular verbs will never take an adjective after them. You'll never say he knew and then just have an adjective. You can't say he knew good. You can't say he speaks English good. You need to say he speaks English well. You need to use an adverb with regular verbs, yeah, because you're describing the verb with the adverb. He speaks English in what way? He speaks English well. He speaks English badly. And it must be an adverb with a regular verb. With a copular verb, you can use an adjective, which is something you can never do with ordinary verbs. And notice you can't say I was slowly. You have to say I was slow, I was quick. You can't use an adverb with a copular verb, and you can't use an adjective with a regular verb. So that's another massive difference. Now this one, I was very impressed with this point. This was what I took from here, certainly, as well as the next part as well. So it is a good book. I always try to give credit to the people that I'm reading, and I'm using their ideas. But I must say that I still think the Random Idea English Blogspot is the best grammar source online. So if you want to find out more about this, if you go to his website, it's brilliant. So Geoffrey Pullum and Rodney Huddleston also point out something very interesting with articles. Very interesting if you like to learn more about articles, and we all know English articles are a pain. They're a nightmare. Well, have a look at this. You can say I was captain. You can say I was the captain. Now try doing that with a regular verb. I knew captain. Doesn't work. But I knew the captain is correct. So we've got this weird thing with copular verbs where you can drop the article very often in the noun phrase. Let's try it with a different one. He became president, correct. He became the president, correct. But he thanked president, wrong. He thanked the president, correct. So with regular verbs, you really need the definite article in there when you're dealing with the other subject, when you're dealing with the object, sorry. When you're putting a noun phrase as an object, you need that article. But with copular verbs, it's just not true. If you have a noun phrase there, you can drop the article. So that's a new article rule for me, and it's very interesting because I'm sure that will come in handy sometimes when I'm dealing with why there's an article there or there's no article there. I mean, this is very important information. It tells you that with copular verbs, both are possible. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you out there will be interested to know that, and that's the first time I've heard that particular rule, but it was explained in the Student's Introduction to English Grammar very clearly. Okay, secondly, let's look at some verbs that can be either. We just looked at get a letter, regular, get hot, copular. Have a look at this. He sounds a nice guy. Well, these two are the same people, so that's copular. But I sounded the alarm. Clearly, I'm not the same as the alarm. There's no identity there. So this is a regular verb. Okay, so sound we could use in either way. And look at feel. Here's a very good example. Really, I'm taking it from Geoffrey and Rodney, so thanks guys. It's very similar to their example anyway. But look at this. I felt an idiot standing there on the platform. Yeah, now here, how many people are there in the sentence? There's one. He is the idiot. What we mean is I felt like an idiot that was standing there on the platform. That's a copular verb because I am the idiot. Yeah, it's nice and clear. If you say I felt an idiot pushing past me to get on the train, that's a regular verb. That's completely different. That person is not the same as the I. That idiot is the same as the I. Yeah, so that's a copular verb and that's a regular verb. So this is something you might want to be aware of because we use the verb feel a lot and it can be used in two completely different ways. Okay, fourth point, for another difference. Have a look at this. He kicked me, I was kicked by him. Regular verbs you can put into passive. Now let's try it with a copular verb. He became my friend was become by him. Now I'm sure all of you realise that one's definitely not right. So we can't put these copular verbs into passive when we've got a noun phrase as the subject complement. It's just not possible. Let's have a look at a last difference because we've got one more difference and then I want to grab a coffee and start work. But have a look at this one. I told him that I had stolen the money. Him is the object pronoun. It's the old accusative case. It means that this is the object of the verb tell. And you need to use him or her or me or us or them when you're dealing with a regular verb and it's the object. So the object of a regular verb is always in the objective case, the accusative case. Him, her, us, them. It's not true after copular verbs necessarily, and I'll explain what I mean in a second, but technically I prefer the first one. It was he that stole the money. Yeah, it was he it was he who stole the money, or it was he that stole the money. And some native speakers will say it was him that stole the money. But for me, that's a mistake, really. Now, it's a mistake that's certainly forgivable, and it's because over time we've stopped doing this. You try calling somebody, and very few people will say it is I. Yeah, it's weird. It's actually correct, but it's not what anybody says. Everybody says it's me. So we tend to use now in speech the object form of the pronoun, even though the subject form is technically correct. And the subject form makes a lot more sense because there is an equivalence between the subject and the subject complement. So they should both be in the subject case. It shouldn't really be in the object, but over time we have started to say it was him that stole the money. So you do hear this him being used. Personally, I still think it's more royal to use the correct pronoun and to use the he. And I think you can really, it sounds ridiculously formal to say it is I speaking, yeah, something like that on the phone. Everyone says it's me, you know. So it is one of those things which is a mistake, but it's there everywhere in the language, and it's so widespread that perhaps you want to learn the wrong form rather than the right form. But I'll leave it up to you. Okay, so there are some differences between copular verbs and regular verbs. We're going to look at some other differences between parts of speech very soon, and we're going to do a lot of work soon on clauses and phrases and parsing, which is something that went out of fashion a long time ago. It's basically analysis of the sentence, but I think it's really useful, and I think it's something that went out of fashion, but it shouldn't have gone out of fashion. So we'll be doing a lot of parsing soon. We'll be looking at different texts and analysing all the different sentences, all the different phrases and clauses, and see how they function, see how they operate, see if we can understand the text a little better. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching this lesson. Please like, subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Please buy my Phrasal Verbs book if you're looking for a book on phrasal verbs. You've got this book that you can go and buy. You can get it on my website, Skype-lessons.com, or you can get it on Amazon if you want a physical copy. There are plenty of pages in there. There's a good 350 pages, and you've got lots and lots of pictures. If you like learning with pictures, I think they're very useful for learning. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.